and SPSW. I welcome you all in this first webinar of this series of child care during pandemic. The current situation, what we are facing now, we have never heard about this, as well as we have never seen such a thing before, and it is very stressful for all of us, including our children. Their daily routine has totally changed. They stuck in their houses, and most importantly, their academic life, their social life has got hampered. So their entire education system has taken a turn from proper schooling to online mode. That is from offline to online mode. But the students and the family, I mean the parents are trying to at their best to cope with the situation. And today we are trying to address few issues related to this online schooling or online academic system, and hope it will be helpful to all for all the participants, and we are expecting an active participation. So now I request my teacher and the president of ISPSW, Dr. A.N. Verma, sir, to say a few words and formally start the webinar. Thank you.
Well, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
audible.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. As a president and on behalf of Indian Society of Professional Social Work, ISPSW, I welcome you all participants, resource persons, organizing committee, and thank Department of Psychiatric Social Work, RML Hospital, and its associates, that is SEAMS and AVBIMS, to organize this one of the 3 webinar series on child related issues. The theme is the children and pandemic under the banner of ISPSW. The children and elderly people are more prone to develop problems and are vulnerable to this pandemic COVID-19, and particularly because of this, children are deprived of their normal schooling at present. So we professionals should be more concerned and concentrate to deliberate on this issue in the current situation and act accordingly. So in this context, today's theme topic is children and new normal schooling, a psychosocial perspective. It is a very relevant in the present scenario. Speakers Dr. Dipanan Bhattacharya and Dr. Rasmi will deliberate on the psychosocial issues related to this area, and especially on online schooling and its academic activities. Later on, I came to know that Dr. Sapna will also speak on the relevance of the theme. So I hope the outcome of deliberations of this event will be very fruitful and beneficial for participants, counselors, educators, and mental health professionals as a whole, to enrich their knowledge, and I expect they will act in accordance with present situation and create awareness, educate the masses, and help the parents and the children as well in their distress situation as well as general population as well. I wish this webinar all success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. Now I request Dr. Sapna to tell us few lines about the theme of the webinar.
Ma'am, thank you so much. And these days, the first question which we start from is, am I audible? Nowadays, we start with the first question, am I audible? So, a very good morning to all of you, respected sir, my seniors, my dear colleagues, and my dear juniors. It's a wonderful situation here that somehow this COVID-19 has led us to connect together online. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. So just before entering in this webinar, my 7-year-old daughter was telling me, Mama, it's already 40 minutes and you need to wash your hands. So see, this is the new normal children, new learning, which we are not trying hard, but through media, through internet, through interactions, children themselves educating themselves to go through these lines, to wash their hands, to keep themselves clean. So today's topic, children and new normal schooling. Looking at it from a psychosocial perspective is very significant, and I feel it has a great relevance in connect to the current situation, to the current scenario which we all are facing. Now, this COVID-19 continues to spread in India. You must already having the data. We are going through medias, we are going through newspapers. Every day, number of cases are increasing. Yes, recovery is also there, but at the same time, the situation is not taking a stand. It's not going to stop. It's already spreading. So it has not only affected the health and situation, I personally feel that it has affected overall psychosocial well-being of all societies as a whole, and especially in Indian context. It has differently affected the population of all groups, but it has the most critical and the most significant effect on the children's education. The children had a continuous routine of going to school. They had all their education, all their aspects, social interactions, the activities which they performed at school on daily basis. We were really working very less on our kids while they were going to school. But now this whole concept of learning has changed. It has brought a new stressor in the life of kids at the same time. The most sensitive one are the children who are facing these problems and the outcomes of this problem. So, in addition, they are needed, the kids are needed to understand this crisis, to accept this crisis, at the same time face the daily challenges. Every day we are learning something new. Every day we are, learn our kids something new in this pandemic situation. Now, school closure has not only presented, restricted, but it prevented, but it has also restricted the children from the access to their learning, that social learning and the social interaction, from their teachers, from their, peer groups and everything, where from the most learning comes at this age. So children are feeling confused, they are feeling, fearful, frustrated, and many times you will see the signs of boredom. Many times my daughter myself asks me, Mama, ye kab over hoga? When it is going to stop? Why it is not stopping? Why can't I go somewhere else? Why can't I interact with my friends? Why can't I go to dance classes? So these are the common questions which are coming every day by the kids, and it is creating lot of distress in the, in kids as well as in the mind of caregivers and the parents. So India has around 1.4 million schools, and most of schools have planned some or the other way to continue their education, where through online learning, where it's e-learning, where it's digital learning, by organizing various strategies. So, but this out of school learning, this online learning, this digital learning, will it have the same impact or the same outcome on the mindset of the children? Will they able to learn in the same way or progress in the same way as they used to do when they were regularly results in the disengagement of children from school going. Maybe later on phase when they have to go into school, maybe they will be facing a lot of problems because they were learning through internet, their interaction has decreased, their face-to-face interaction has, the teachers have decreased. So how will they face it in future? But yes, I feel that education system has focused and stressed on the integration of, disease prevention. I understand because of that only we are, connecting online and doing all stuffs online and controlling the disease on daily basis. The education system has also announced, the mental health education, at the same time psychosocial supports giving to various education system, the people concerned with the or connected with the various education system. But I feel, and you will also agree, that the life pre, during and post corona will never be the same. It will be totally different, and it will be, totally something. I feel sometimes that we have stopped at the stage. हम रुक गए हैं कहीं, चल नहीं पा रहे हैं. That monotonous thing. Sometimes I feel myself. Yes, physical distancing is not social isolation. I repeat again. Yes, we are learning these days. Physical distancing is not social isolation, but I sometimes do feel that sometimes it can result in social isolation. I understand that this physical distance is nothing connected to social isolation, but being a counselor, being a mental health professional, I totally feel concerned that sometimes it can result into social isolation, that social distancing thing. So we all, our sir very rightly said that we all as a mental health professional has a very significant role to play together. The whole mental health, the various psychiatrists, the leading professionals, the counselors, the clinical psychologists, the psychiatric social workers, we have to work as a team for this cause because it's the need of this hour. And the pandemic, I feel, has played a very significant role on the whole education system, and the result is the most devastating one for this particular education system. So we need to really work hard on our children, being a mental health professional and being a parent. So I feel this topic will develop a very better insight and a very clear understanding between the role of parents. What should be the current role of parents? Does it need to be the same, or it needs to be the other one, or is it the new normal parenting trend is gonna come where we will have to learn the new way of parenting, the new roles of parents in this context of this current situation? Will the new system, this online and the digital learning, will have the same impact, will have the same influence on the mindset of the people? So what would be the more practical and solution focused answer? What would be our thought process, including all of us being professionals and being parents, is the most significant discussion of this hour. So I feel this topic will play a very significant role in discussion and having a clarity about this particular concern about our children. So thank you so much again for participating in the webinar. And I feel because I feel that it's the most needed topic in this current situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna. It's really enlightening words. Now I request faculty of my department, Ms. Sunita, to introduce our first speaker.
Good morning, all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have First speaker is Dr. Dipanjan Bhattacharya sir. Dipanjan Bhattacharya sir is Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Psychiatric Social Work in Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi. Sir will talk on role of parent in motivating children in online academic activities during pandemic. So over to Dr. Dipanjan sir. Sir.
Dipanjan sir is joining in few minutes.
Okay. So has Dipanjan sir joined Mayank? Mayank?
Yes ma'am, he is joining ma'am.
He is joining.
Yes ma'am.
So maybe some technical problem.
Sir has joined ma'am.
Sir joined. Sir.
Yes ma'am.
So I would like to invite Dr. Dipanjan sir to talk on role of parent in motivating children in online academic activities during pandemic. Sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. you
Yes,
are.
sir.
Okay. Very good morning to all of you. First of all, please, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all of you, particularly Satabdi, Mayank, Sunita, for giving me this opportunity. It's a wonder, it's a treat. Thanks, all of you. Today, right away, let's go into the topic, main topic, that we are undergoing COVID-19, and it's undergoing the last phase of possibly the last phase of lockdown. It's unlock 1 we are undergoing, and we are anticipating that unlock 2 is going to be the last phase of this ordeal. I mean, it's COVID-19 lockdown. So let's start. Can you share my PPT? PPT I have already sent to Mayank. So can it be placed?
Yes sir.
Sunita, can it be placed? PPT I have already shared.
Yes, sir. He is doing, sir. Mayank is doing.
Okay, so COVID-19, all of you must be knowing, it's a pandemic, and it started from central Chinese city of Wuhan, and finally it hit our country. And in our country today we have crossed the 4.2 lakhs people, and fortunately, in comparison to other Western world, our mortality rate, I mean case fatality rate is much lower. But we need not to be very complacent, because there are a lot of cases still cropping in, particularly in national capital region of Delhi and Western cities, Western Indian cities like Bombay and Surat, all Ahmedabad. So a lot of problems are there in Indian economy, finance, and everything pertaining to human life is affected by COVID-19. Particularly academic sector. Academic, I mean our young birds, that students, school students, children and adolescents. and all of you must be knowing this group require high degree of interactions from the side of teachers and trainers in order to be trained, in order to get adequately trained. But because of these lockdowns, schools are shut down, and it's a mandatory thing. You cannot go out of it. So that is the reason, and particularly schools, most of the schools, particularly the urban schools, they started e-learning process, online learning process, and they are using several platforms, online platforms and mechanism to reach out students as well as parents. And we'll be discussing very briefly about the good things and as well as some challenges in terms of disseminating training to students through online process. So I would request Mayank to kindly share the PPT. Is it possible, Mayank, to share right now?
Sir, it is possible, sir. Was within minutes, sir. Due to network issue, we are not able to share.
Okay.
Sir, within minute I am sharing, sir.
Okay. So there are some good things in terms of teaching through online medium, but at the same time we have some limitations. We cannot translate everything through online as of now because it is related to something technical issues are associated with it, technical, financial, regarding the computer literacy, basic presence of basic computer skills, internet skills to handle all those tasks pertaining to online education. And as you must be knowing that in order to handle online education, basic computer skills, basic operational skills to handle things like Google Meet or anything others. It can be Cisco, OVX or any other platform. You need to have basic computer skills. Those kind of skills may not be possible for many people, particularly people from rural areas, semi-urban areas, and at the same time, you need to have a basic infrastructure, both at the level of at the school level as well as household level. But in Indian situation, unfortunately, I'm afraid many of the school, and I think it's a very least amount of school, they are capable of handling, providing an online education at their capacity. Because lack of fund is a very important issue. Another thing is very important that teachers are not so savvy with these particular things. That is a very important issue. And you must be knowing that providing online education, using online education for teaching, you need to have something more, something very it's a specialized thing to do. It is not like that didactic lecture you'll be using classical teaching methodology. It has some good things in online. At the same time, it requires some specific skills to handle situation. Those things are the challenges. Am I audible? Am I audible to all
Yes,
of
sir,
you?
you are. Yes.
Kindly, can you share that particular my PPT? Is it possible?
I think Upender is facing problem to sharing the slides. Dipanjan sir, you can share your slide itself there only. Give the technical person. Priya is there. She will do.
इसको इसको डाल दीजिए इसको नीचे खोल रहा है
मुझे रिमूव कर दिया उन्होंने। यार मैं शेयर कर रहा था इसलिए आपने रिमूव कर दिया, आप सीन कैसे शेयर करो मुझे? अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है, देखो शेयर। एक आपको गूगल मीट कहाँ चल रहा है? किसी भी दिमाग में नहीं
उपेंद्र म्यूट योरसेल्फ।
माई नहीं पा रहा है संजय सर, हम दूसरा को पहले फॉरवर्ड करते हैं।
Sir is presenting. Don't worry. Leave it on Dipanjan sir.
Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, it is. It is blinking.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
सर को आने लगी है
It is
दो
visible.
बार वो हम उसके बाद हम घुसे नहीं।
Go ahead, sir. It is
It is visible. Okay, fine. So my topic title, that is role of parents and family in motivating children in online academic activities during COVID-19 pandemic. Already I briefed you about this particular thing. So all of you must be knowing that details about COVID-19. And common symptoms, all of you must have had some idea about it, and I hope most people, parents, are also very much familiar with this, with the symptoms. So let's see the psychological problems associated with children and adolescent population due to COVID, particularly that COVID-19 lockdown. So primary three things are responsible for causing or aggravating psychological problems among the children. First thing is isolation. Contact restrictions and lockdown has significant impact on psychosocial niche of the children. That is, next is closing down of the school for indefinite period, and children and adolescents don't have the access to contact with their peers, batchmates, friends. That is the source of stress to them. Then meeting familiar people and cut off home leisure activities restricted. I mean, people don't have the, particularly children don't have the access to go out for leisure activities. And before the onset of this particular disease, they have those accessibility. And next things are at the family level, pandemic compelled family to reorganize everyday life. So families are very much burned out and stressed out because of this particular thing. Every day you see that parents and family elders, adults, then they have to devise something, they have to think for something to reorganize or keep family situation stable, and they have to plan day to day that how to do, how to go about. So this is a very much stressful to them, and those people are already stressed out, and making situation comfortable for their children, it is a very difficult task for them also. So family members, they are not in a position particularly to tackle their own problem as well as tackle children's need, particularly children's need related to education. Education system is changed to online things. So many parents are not so savvy, so articulate to handle all those things. At the same time, they have their own problems, financial problems, their lockdown, their kid in home. So they have their own stress. So they are not at all in a position to handle this changing teaching type, that is online education. So next, finally, overwrought parents may not in a position to support their children. That is the bottom line of this particular thing. They are already stressed, so they are not at all in a position, good position to handle this changing scenario. School shutdowns have led rescheduling, reorganization of school routines and academic curriculums. Globally, more than 1.2 billion children are out of the classroom due to COVID-19 since February. It's a WHO shared data. And India, 320 million students are affected directly by COVID-19 school shutdown. Some schools, especially urbanized private school, came up with easy solution, that is continuation of education through online or e-learning mode. Measures like language apps, virtual tutoring, video conferencing tools, or some online learning softwares are of use in COVID-19. So what are the challenges? What are the basic challenges associated with online education in India? So we have very less number of households with internet connectivity, only 4.4%. This is National Sample Survey Organization data of 2017. And urban household, they are slightly better in better position. It is 23.4%. I mean, it's a class 1 cities and capital cities of different states. Next, rural households with internet, it is 14.9%. Urban household with internet is 42%. And this is the basic infrastructure related challenges. Now come to other challenges, that is absence of reliable internet access, continuous internet access or technology. This is not uniformly found in India. Internet accessibility varies in countries, even in different region of the country, different region of your state, even in cities. As per OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 95% of the students in Western world, I mean Central European nations like Switzerland, Norway and Austria, they have computers and internet accessibility. They are quite acquainted with internet and computers. But in case of Southeast Asian country like Indonesia, only 34% of students. And in case in India, that was not mentioned in this PPT, it is much lesser, even lesser than Indonesia. Only 12.5% of students access to smartphones in developing world as per OECD. Significant number of teachers are not familiar with online teaching. Then another important thing, replacing mainstream classroom teaching with online or e-learning mode for schools across the country is very difficult. Particularly, we have high degree of variability in terms of school infrastructure, type of schools, and type of teaching methodology also. Teachers, their teachers' ability, I am not going into the detail of it. So we have high degree of variability in terms of schools' positions of infrastructure, and many schools, rural school, even they do not have electric connectivity. So you cannot expect computers, you cannot expect internet connectivity, continuous internet connectivity, and their teachers are not at all skilled in, they don't have basic skill to handle internet, computers. So this is very difficult to run those kind of things from those schools. Even that is applicable to urban areas, government schools. Many government schools do have, but majority of government schools where students from lower middle or lower socioeconomic standards, they come for education, they don't have that particular infrastructure. Sometimes online classes are perceived to be very unattractive and monotonous because of one thing, that is it does not provide you the physical accessibility with meeting your batchmate, direct contact with your teachers and other people, and also enjoy the school environment. That is the most important thing. So sometimes it may appear as very boring, very unattractive, very monotonous one. This is from the side of students. Students feel absence of school environment and direct interactions with teachers, batchmates is a major limiting factor of online teaching. Online education can be a viable option for nuclear educated urban affluent families. Please follow the equation. Nuclear family, they are quite educated parents with educated parents, urbanized families, and they have financial capability, financial resourcefulness. So these particular families falling into these particular equations, they are in better position to deal all those things. But families like large families, predominantly families with elders with lesser level of education and don't have the skill to handle this task, particularly how to deal with online education. So for those families, this is a difficult thing to do. Then another very inbuilt limitation of online education, this evaluation process. Though online education that is very much popular among higher education students belonging to higher educational level and higher education, evaluation can also be done through various mechanisms, but for school children it is very difficult because they have problems in answering those things they will have, and at the same time, like elders, like adults, like youths, you cannot restrict, cannot make it a stringent one for school students, because school students already they are in stress because of COVID. They cannot meet their friends, cannot use school, cannot go to school, use the school to enjoy their study. So it cannot be stringent like adults. They are not in a position to accept that restrictions and strictness in terms of evaluation system. So that is the problem. Now come to role of parents. How parents will deal with the situation, that is making family situation compatible with online education and new learning system. That is phrase is better, it sounds better, that new learning system. So what they should do, making family environment comfortable and congenial as much as possible. How they can do that? Allowing children to talk about any problem issue freely with them, ensuring a safe environment, and as much as possible, safe I mean it is very healthy one, where children have the feeling, perceived feeling or perception that they can share anything or everything with their parents, with their family elders, and let child to enjoy family environment, organize and plan things among family members to overcome stress, encourage children to do activities and of their interest as long sorry. Sorry for disturbance. Encourage to children to do activities and other interests as long time online class can cause boredom and sense of burden to them. So long time in front of computer, in front of other electronic gadgets like tablet or smartphone, this is very difficult, particularly difficult for children and adolescents. So they should be encouraged to use the recess time, use other time in doing something doing those activities which are of their interest, which they like most. So parents should encourage their children to use the recess time in doing those activities instead of continuously engaging in online teaching activities. A very difficult thing to do. Do spend time with the children in positive manner. Don't make family environment very gloomy by continuous discussion about negative aspect of present time. So we are already we are going through a very difficult time, all of us. So better, it is always advisable not to stick into negative things for longer period. We know that the situation is getting difficult day by day. So better not to be inclined every time to negative thing of life, not to explore, extract always negative things. Better go out, develop something, develop a mechanism that you can shut down those things. You can create a barrier between you, your family, and those negative things. So suggestions can be use family, create a situation which can be enjoyable to you, other family members as well as children, and shut down news and other things, news channels which are showing continuously those things. News is important, of course, it is required, but every time you shouldn't be in front of news channel, and don't discuss about all those things, alarming things every time. You need to be alive with the situation. It is of course advisable. You need to inculcate healthy behavior, protective behavior, develop healthy behavior, take preventive measures. You should be knowledgeable, but at the same time you need not to be glued at the TV and the news channels, other news mediums, and discussing on all those things. So this can also create problem to your children. You can watch movies, enjoyable movies, see documentaries and other channels showing about natures, about science and technology, about other things. Particularly, don't restrict your children. Particular parents are advised, should be given advice that don't restrict children to see enjoyable options like cartoon channels and those things at the time of recess, at the time of online recess time. They should enjoy that, should be allowed to see all those things. Next, be watchful to children's use of internet stuffs during lockdown period, because children are expected to use online things very, very extensively. So they can be, previously the children who didn't have that much of skill to handle those stuffs, those mechanisms, they can have the skill to explore internet. So internet is a very big platform, and it has full of good things, at the same time bad things too. So students, children, you should be watchful. You should keep a very good vigil on them, what kind of things they are searching on, they're browsing. So you should be watchful. At the same time, let your children know about the bad things of those things, internet. Be honest in dispensing or sharing factual information regarding realities of life with children. Realities of life, I mean, both in terms of disease, healthy behavior, at the same time, online stuff. Many online stuff can be misleading, can be very erroneous, very faulty, and misguiding too. It can misguide both adults, and it can misguide very severely. So you should be the parent very much aware about and encourage children to ensure best use of mode of teaching and let unnecessary times online stuff. So it is one information should be given that it is of use. Befriend it, but not let it overpower your life. It shouldn't overdo with you, and I mean, it shouldn't be allowed to take over one's own life. So this can be used as a friend, as an assistance, not as a main thing, everything. You forget everything and give extra weightage to internet and online thing, but not other things. So parents should educate their children and provide this message to all of them. Parents should also try to develop skills in handling computer internet. So how to keep a vigil of the internet, how to restrict things, how to use mechanism. I think antivirus, I think all antivirus have kids control program. So how to use it, how to keep a vigil on those things, what sites are browsed, how to search the history. So parents should have the basic skills to do so. Online education makes children savvy with computer and internet. Parents need to aware about them, about the negative sides of it, very sensibly, with high degree of clarity. Parents should tell them not to open suspicious site. कितना टाइम हुआ? बच गया? 5 मिनट बचा, हो जाएगा. Suspicious sites asking for personal details, pictures, classified informations like Aadhaar card number, bank account number, passport number, like this, driving license number of parents. Block somebody unknown and child is not finding his or her behavior comfortable and normal. Never accept friend requests of a unsuspicious person. Not to open suspicious looking email. Do not share password with them. So next, let your child aware about the importance of positive time spending with parents, family members and friends. Encourage them to talk to their friends via telephone, mobile and social network sites. Social distancing doesn't mean that you should cut off relationship with your familiar persons like friends, relatives. So you can use the mobile phones, maintain contact. So that is the important thing. Encourage them to talk to their friends with this mechanism. Last but not the least, technology is meant for making life easy. So don't let it overpower your life. This is the bottom line of to parents, that they should educate their children, that use it very rationally. So that is the thing. I would like to end with this quote, famous quote of Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore. Let us not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless when facing them. This should be our motto, that we should be alive with the situation. We should take up and inculcate mechanism to protect ourselves, our dear and near, our friends. But at the same time, we shouldn't cow down. We should bow ourselves to this situation. That is my understanding. So thank you all for listening me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for such a informative and comprehensive lecture.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Now you are visible.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
You came out from energy saving mode.
I'm too adapting to this new technology on a regular basis.
Yes. Now, can everybody can see the PPT?
Yeah, it is visible to me.
Okay. Now you can
Yeah,
see.
it's visible. It's visible.
Yeah, visible.
Okay, great. So the topic that I am going to discuss upon today is online schooling knowledge explosion or holistic development. So we all know that this current pandemic has disrupted our education system at a very unprecedented scale. And as Dr. Dipanjan was sharing that a majority of the schools across the world have been shut down and around 1.1 billion children are out of their classroom. And it has been very rightly pointed out by the UNESCO director that the global scale and speed of the current educational disruption is going to be unparalleled, and it is actually. So, though definitely e-learning has become, in the present scenario, has become the dominant model of education, but still this pandemic and this school closure has left its own indelible marks on children. So, first let us try to understand what is the impact of the school closure. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the previous slide, please. Yeah. Thank you. So this closure of school has definitely has a very major impact on the physical and the mental health of the children, and it has shattered the sense of normalcy within the children because they are confined to home setting, they are unable to follow their daily routine, they are not able to do oriented education, they have limited or no interaction at all, and teacher and student relation is all about online learning. So definitely the compromised lifestyle has have very important and the most impact on physical, next slide please, on the physical pattern and definitely physical activity, sleep, unbearable diet, life that has gone very sedentary, no outdoor activities, no physical activity at all, as we have also, it has propelled to a place where child might have certain physical issues in form of obesity or reduced cardiovascular functioning or fitness. Next slide, please. Next, I have covered this. Next, please. Yeah. So, and the psychological impact is in the form of the stressors that is there because of the home confinement. Because children, along with the adults, the children are also in the perpetual fear of whether I will be infected, how, if I get infected, or if my parents get infected, what am I supposed to do? Is there is a probability that my grandparents may get infected and we may be infected? So these kind of cognitions, these kind of thought processes have at the top of the mind. And along with this, definitely boredom, inadequate information, lack of in-person contact with friends and teachers, and definitely for some children there is always a lack of personal space at home. See, the 8-9 hours that they used to spend at school is something that they are not able to do this for past 3-4 months, and associated family financial issues, the children are able to comprehend all these things. These are also going to have a very enduring effect and is acting as a stressor for the children in the present scenario. So, having said that, in the present scenario, since there has been a major shift from regular classes to online learning to maintain the continuity of the education, I first like to highlight a little what is the philosophy on which our education system is based, and then we will try to draw a understanding how much the online system is able to follow that philosophy. Next slide, please. Okay, so as it has been mentioned that education means all-round development and drawing the best out of the man and the child, that is the body, mind and spirit, and it emphasizes on the holistic development. So when we say holistic development, next slide please. When we say holistic development, it means we try to inculcate qualities of imagination and creativity, the individual's potentials in the form of memory, reasoning, physical capacity, social skills, communication skills, develop critical thinking, as well as developing or existing independent judgment and personal commitment and responsibility. So on the whole, what we expect out of a school education or out of education, other than typical transfer of learning and sharing of information, sharing and knowledge, this overall non-cognitive aspects of development is also emphasized upon and is the core of the philosophy of education that we try to follow in our system. So now let us understand a little bit how learning contributes to holistic development. Next slide please. So definitely school environment via classroom teaching, excuse me, school environment via classroom teaching actually has both direct as well as indirect effect on children. Indirect effect, through the teaching learning procedure, the child is made literate, the child is introduced to numericals, the child is introduced to scientific knowledge, and that becomes the basis of our higher education. And the indirect effect that it creates is it enhances or it develops social cognitions and feelings, and these social cognitions and feelings, these non-cognitive parameters also have a very impactful influence on the prediction of the later outcome. That is how the child is going to perform in future. Next slide please. So definitely school via its classroom teaching provides structure, it provides support and a system of reward and penalties to groom its students. It plays an edifying role in promoting not only teaching learning process, but also emphasizes upon personal hygiene, physical activity, healthy food, body habits, etc. Along with this, next slide please, classroom teaching, during the teaching learning process, the teacher is able to have a better grip on the students. When I'm saying better grip, in the sense that teacher is able to pay to some extent individualized attention to the children, and the classroom activities are more engaging and less distractible. And it also gives an opportunity to the children to be spontaneous. They can have spontaneous questions to ask, they can have spontaneous experiences to share, and classroom teaching also promotes kinesthetic learning among students. So it's not only about listening to the teacher, it's also about experiencing whatever is being taught in the class through different modalities, through different sense organs, if there is a feasibility. And having said that, nowadays, since most of the schools are highly structured and have limited number of students in their class, they are maintaining a good student-teacher ratio. Usually there are instructors and there are the main class teacher and the instructor along with, and so the individualized attention on the children as well as how they are performing, how the students are becoming more accountable of what they are doing, and along with that their peers also act as a source who is there to check upon the person how he is performing in his coursework. Next, adding to this, next slide please. Classroom teaching also provides dynamic and face-to-face interaction. Teachers in the classroom acts as a role model wherein the children imbibes their social values, their emotional values, and they observe, they learn, and they replicate the same social and emotional skills of their teacher. and it also helps the students to develop empathy, to set boundary, limit setting, are all, or to some extent, being there in the classroom environment, interacting with the peers, interacting with the teacher, helps the child to imbibe all these qualities, even when they are not knowing particularly that they are going to imbibe it. And definitely, the social emotional skills, that is one of the key factors of holistic development, is also taken care in the classroom learning to a large extent. Because in most of the schools nowadays, they have particular focus on social and emotional learning skills, and mainly the major social and emotional learning skills that are there are, next slide please, self-awareness, that helps the child to evaluate his personal strengths and weaknesses, self-management, that helps the child to have emotional regulation. Next slide please. Yeah. Self-management helps the child to regulate his self-awareness. Self-awareness helps the child to evaluate his strengths and weaknesses. Self-management helps the child to regulate his stress and is also able to regulate his emotions and prepare a plan of how to achieve his goals. Social awareness may help him to avoid indulging into risky activities, and risky activities in married forms, that is more aware when a child is growing, mostly in the adolescent stage. And relationship building, having positive relationship with the parents, having positive relationship with the peers, having positive relationship with the teachers, have a long way to go, and children develop trust in interpersonal relationships, and that becomes the foundation of a healthy socially emotional person. Okay, so along with this, the children also learn through different activities in the school, being responsible, take decisions, and manage challenging situations. Okay, so given the present scenario where we are seeing that school and classroom learning to some extent has been trying to inculcate this holistic approach of education, or follow this holistic approach of education, now we need to understand to what extent, or is it possible for the online learning to follow the same principles, or what are the disadvantages of having online learning. So the question that has been put forward, next slide please. Next slide please. Next. Okay, so the present time have dictated school closings and the rapid expansion of online education. So the question that remains and that needs to be answered is, are online lessons equivalent to classroom learning? Previous slide, you are moving fast. Previous slide please. So since the onset of this pandemic, and since that there has been a school closure and schools are resorting to online classes, even my daughter is having her regular online classes from 9 to 2. So I am having a live experience of the same. What I have observed and what I have gathered information is that online classes, they are mainly focusing on getting the academics right. And then what is the difficulty the children are facing? Now, when we are at the online classes, we are trying to do online classes, it requires some amount of self-regulation, some amount of attention, definitely, ability to switch, that is cognitive flexibility, that is switching from one set of instructions to another set of instructions, one set of tasks to another set of tasks. Inhibition control wherein the child might have an impulse to move around, to leave the class and go around. Usually children do, even my daughter has done this. So all these are the cognitive processes involved is the inhibition control. So what happens is that children, mostly the children at the primary level or at the middle level, are still in the process of developing their brains. So these cognitive processes are yet to develop. They are in the process of developing. They are not full-fledged. They are not full-fledged developed. So as a result, it becomes difficult for children to sustain in these online classes for a longer period of time. So it is not only a matter of interest, it is also a matter of how my cognitive processes, how my brain processes is preparing me to attend these online sessions. And definitely when a child is doing his classes in a home environment, sitting on a chair in a desk and a laptop, obviously he's all alone. In between, maybe a family member might be asking, how is he doing? So learning online by self is hard, and that calls for a greater amount of motivation and self-discipline. So we need to check upon how much our students are prepared, our growing children are prepared, how much they are motivated, how much self-discipline as a characteristics is inbuilt in them to sustain the online classes. Next slide, please. So now, next slide, please. Yeah. So now, middle level children, younger children, or adolescents who are participating in this online classes definitely have a high bandwidth facility at their disposal, and they are able to use multiple platforms and devices simultaneously, and that is once again going to bring challenges to the developing brain. So it has been seen that children who media multitask frequently have more problems in the domains of executive functions, that is working memory, shifting, and inhibition. So basically, working memory is the ability to hold information so that it can be utilized later in a broader framework. Shifting is like, as I have explained earlier also, how the instructions that the child is receiving or the task that he has to do at hand, and how he can shift from one task to another task. So all these cognitive difficulties are bound to happen if these online classes are not monitored adequately, because children have such strong bandwidth at disposal, and they are smart enough to use multiple platforms while they are doing their online classes. So parents need to be much more vigilant. So as on the whole, the task of parents have increased a lot. So as I have highlighted, this multimedia media multitasking disrupts the ability for a student to focus on any one thing. So attention is also hampered. Next slide, please. So these were the cognitive processes that are getting hampered or are being utilized more, or are not inadequately utilized, or we can say that the online sessions are actually hampering these brain processes where the children are in the growing phase. So now coming back to the social milieu, the classroom milieu where the child learn, so and comparing it with the online. So children on the whole, when they sit in the group, they learn better. So the point that is mentioned, children need learning companions. It's good to see other children asking questions. So it is not always that when we only ask questions, we learn. We also learn when somebody else asks questions. So, and though this is happening to some extent in online classes as well, but the spontaneous asking questions phenomena has actually reduced. And more so, where the knowledge that the children have gained, if there is a practical application of those knowledge, and where they need to use those practical, apply those knowledge within the school, maybe in a lab or in the real life situations, it is becoming difficult in today's present scenario. And it is also difficult if we are primarily depending upon online learning. So practical application, communication is feasible in online platforms, but still, since students are also getting adapted, and the computer being the interface between the teacher and the student, communication is definitely hampered. And communication is hampered means communication is always not in the sense of what the child is saying. It is also the non-verbal communication that the teacher used to observe, or the children used to observe while during the classes when the teacher was there. So that part of the communication is majorly hindered in online communication. And similarly, for teachers also, they are not able to get the immediate feedback, both through communication, verbal communication, and well as non-verbal communication, that whether it has been understood adequately or not. So that is one difficulty that we are facing. Now, similarly, next slide, please. We know when we are in a classroom setup, the previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. Yeah. So we all know that when students are in a group setting in the classroom, they have each child has their own strengths and weaknesses, and few children might be very good in certain subjects, and few might be overall lagging behind in the class. But still, that group setting helps them, because not only the teachers, the students, the peers are also there to help, the seniors are also there to help. So when such kind of children who are overall lagging behind in the class, and they need to be pushed upon to be at the pace with the rest of the class, such children, when they are in person in online classes, they are bound to struggle more to understand the concepts and move ahead. And definitely, most of the time, even when students are doing well, teachers' presence, teachers' interaction gives them a motivation to pursue further. So that those non-verbal aspects, those directly non-communicable aspects are missing in the online setup. And in addition to this, why to forget the parents? Parents too are struggling. Parents are struggling with their own work. Parents are struggling with how to make the children, how to ease off the entire burden from the children, how to facilitate this adaptation to online process, and they themselves are also getting adapted. Not all parents are equally good with technology. So, and particularly for younger children, parents have to continuously have to act as a shadow teacher. So the parents' responsibility has gained, and now since the parents are acting as a shadow teacher or trying to help the children, it is also impacting parent-child relationship, because initially the whole concept of the teacher-student relationship was taking care part of the education part by the school and the teachers. But now, since parents have to add on, it is adding to their relationship also, mostly with the middle and the adolescent students. Next slide, please. Next. So, as I have mentioned earlier also, that in the online learning, the content delivery is upholded. So, बच्चों को कैसे पढ़ा दिया जाए, how to teach maths, how to teach geography, how to teach science. But where is the social emotional learning? It is not getting the priority. Parallelly, the non-cognitive skills such as patience, perseverance, ability to figure out what to do and what behavior is going to have, what kind of future consequences that are imbibed within the classroom space is actually suffering because of this online learning. Moreover, there are many kids whose mental health needs remain unidentified at home and gets identified at school because of their interaction with teachers and peers. Those identifications are also going to be unnoticed, more so when children have more mental health needs and that they are more stressed comparatively. And children, this is particularly for the normal children, I mean this quote unquote, but the mental health needs of the children who are actually mentally are suffering from a mental illness. So they used to have their own coping strategies by visiting to schools every day, and that has also got equally hampered. Okay. And we should not also forget that this accessibility to gadget and to high data speed, there the child has multiple options, multiple platforms to open up and respond. They are equally vulnerable for online childhood exploitation. So that is also one area teachers and parents needs to work upon. Next slide, please. So this was all about how the online learning is impacting students, and we see the difficulties that students face at a regular level while doing online learning. Okay, so now let us come to teachers also. Teachers too are becoming overstretched because they have to follow new shifts, new routines, they have to learn new tools. Earlier they had simple board to learn, or smart classes were there where there was an integration of classroom teaching as well as technology within the classroom setup. But over here they have to get acquainted with different platforms and then making the session engaging for the children for whatever duration they are going to have the class. So they have to work extra to make that content creative enough. So all these exercises were there in a particular pattern while the classroom teaching was doing. But with the advent of the online classes, the teacher has to work extra. And so not everybody is equally competent to make things creative at online level. So, and they might also be unable to adapt the delivery depending on the visual feedback. As I discussed earlier also, that non-verbal cues from the audience, non-verbal cues from the children within the class, it helps the teacher to understand whether they are receiving the information or not. So, and then they are able to modulate it and adapt to the interest of the children. So this is a very important aspect of teaching learning process that is getting hampered in the online process. And the last point, that is difficult to verify if the child is doing his own work, because in the classroom the teachers can make the children sit and make them do, but over here you never know how the child is doing, whether the parents are doing the entire work or whether they are just opening a Google and doing certain copy paste and finishing off. So though once again the engagement of the child is questioned because we are not able to monitor it adequately. Next slide, please. So along with this, there are certain physiological impacts also of this online learning because of the prolonged exposure to screen. So the prolonged exposure to screen, because children are not only limited to the online classes, other than that also they are homebound most of the time. Given an opportunity, a child picks up a phone, picks up a tablet, or start playing games on the computer. So these prolonged exposures along with the online classes to computers actually disturb, it has been reported that it actually disturbs the sleep pattern, because the short wavelength or the blue light that is emitted from the screens actually reduces the melatonin, and this melatonin is the sleep hormone that is responsible for our sleep. So the more the exposure to such online screens, the more the probability that there will be a sleep disturbance. Number one. Number two, definitely when we are working on computers, we are at a near visions, and since we are at near visions, and maybe on the computer, maybe on the phone, there is a less opportunity of exercise of eye muscles. So that is also hampering the vision. There are continuous strain on the eyes. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So along with the strain on the eyes, there are other problems, that is musculoskeletal soreness, that is continuously sitting on the same posture and to view the screens is leading to different kind of musculoskeletal soreness. There are swelling at the different parts of the body, mainly at the palms and hands, because we are using the hands, our wrists are continuously moving the mouse or the touchpad on the screen, and that is actually having a problem. And along with this, it has been said that long periods of ICT, that is obviously screen exposure, that is more than 3 hours or so, leads to increment in the level of cortisol. And when there is an increased level of cortisol, that shows that the child is, or any individual who is having a prolonged exposure to ICT is undergoing stress. So increased level of cortisol and stress. So it is not always only the psychological factors that lead to stress. Such physical parameters can also induce stress in individuals. Next slide, please. See, on the whole, I would like to conclude that though there is no substitute for the in-person classes, and because it focuses on the whole development of the child, both the cognitive as well as the non-cognitive skills, that is not being adequately taken care of. But since this pandemic has brought in a lot of changes in our life that is going to sustain, so definitely virtual classes are the only means as of now that are enabling the children to access lessons and exercises and interact with the teachers to whatever extent it is. And wonder a time when if this kind of epidemic would have taken place maybe 2 decades earlier, these minimal class, the minimal interactions that the students are having with their teachers, the minimal educational engagement that that is taking place because of these online classes may not have been possible. So despite the fact that people are skeptical of online learning, but it is also the time to embrace and improve. And so in the present situation, it gives us as an opportunities, as mental health professionals, as teachers, as learners, to test the boundaries and figure out something, how to, like, though there is no personal contact, but how to make the best out of it, and at the same time, whatever impediments are being created because of this online learning on children, that can be curbed upon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The session was really informative, full of knowledge for all of us. Ma'am described how the COVID-19 pandemic phenomena is affected globally our children and students. She described the impact of school closure on child, parent, peer, teachers and students. Ma'am mainly focused on holistic
Sunita, you are not audible.
She also described how it is. She also described how it is affecting child psychologically, physiologically, and also cognitive impact of online classes. It is very true that in-person classes are better pattern practice. So I think this topic definitely enlightened our thought. Thank you, ma'am. If anybody has any query, question, so please share.
Sunita ma'am, I just wanted to ask one question from Rashmi ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Sapna ma'am.
Yeah, Rashmi ma'am, wonderful presentation, lot of information you gave, and it was a very holistic approach. You focused on physical as well as the mental health issue, and very beautifully you have focused on all the practical issues, which being a professional and being a parent we all are facing at home, because I also have a daughter of 7 years age. Ma'am, one thing I want to add in it, like I have been seeing, like my daughter is in class 1, ma'am. One more colleague's daughter is in class 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. I just wonder about the pattern of teaching, which is, comparatively same for every age group, ma'am. And it is sometimes very difficult to make the kids understand that what practically or what literally the teacher is trying to convey to them. So I feel this urge that for different age groups, dividing the age groups of children, whether say 1 to 3 or maybe from 3 to 5 or whatever it is, there should be specific learning strategies.
I agree.
And my second thing which I feel nowadays, because being a student counselor, I feel that this is the need of hour, that mental health subject needs to be inculcated, included, ma'am. It should be a subject of learning, ma'am. Why? Because what happens, ma'am? Because previously what happened, there were teachers to identify various signs and symptoms, various distress, various stresses. But now being at home, the parents are not that capable and eligible. I think you will be agreeing with me, ma'am. So we need to put in this education system that we as mental health professionals, I would say that our knowledge needs to be utilized here, by putting our knowledge forward towards educating, various, mental health stresses in school. That can be made online also, ma'am, like other subjects are going. That's mental health learning or various mental health aspects learning, ma'am.
Exactly. So,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, and I would like to add upon this, Miss Sapna, I suppose.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Ms. Sapna, that you see, we usually keep talking as mental health professionals, or it has been emphasized that teachers should be trained, parents should be trained, how to identify mental health needs of children. My perspective is, why not to train the children themselves?
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
I agree with you.
The very concept that you have said, that it should be introduced as a part of the curriculum, it should have been done earlier. I hope now it is done in the future. I mean, that is the best we can think, that because children start understanding that the course needs to be designed as per the developmental age of the child, definitely. But if the children start understanding, they will be more strong torchbearers of the fact that they will help us in identifying very quickly who needs the help, and the earlier the help is provided, the better is the prognosis.
Yes, ma'am. That's what my concern is, ma'am. That is the particular concern which I feel these days, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna ma'am. Thank you, Rashmi ma'am. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Prashant Srivastava to give a brief idea about today's webinar. Dr. Prashant Srivastava is consulting PSW at KCMC Karnal. Dr. Prashant, over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, you are audible.
First of all, very thank you so much to everyone who is presented here, and I'm very thankful to our both our respected speaker who has given such a nice enlightenment on the topic, and this is a very burning topic in this present scenario. If I'll tell that this is nowadays this is a very burning issues, like child problems, how they are coping with the situations. So the both of the speakers has given a very nice presentation, very informative things they have shared with us. Before going forward, I start with some because there is basically everything is very informative. So थोड़ा सा मैं एक
दोहे के साथ स्टार्ट करता हूँ, जो बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट है इस समय इस सिनेरियो में, क्योंकि हम सब लोग बात कर रहे हैं टीचर ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन. सो दोहा इज दैट, गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काको लागू पाओ, बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंद दियो बताए. So on that situation, when we talk, so guru is guru, teacher is teacher. So many of the parents are becoming a new teacher, and nowadays it's very required. But still, teaching is a part of one. It's a part of a teacher. So मुझे जो टॉपिक दिया गया है, encapsulation of the session. So coming with the Deepanjan sir, he is my teacher also, and हमने बहुत कुछ उनसे सीखा है. So sir ने बहुत ही अच्छे से psychological problems what we are facing now, like child is facing like isolation of child, cut from the peer group, indefinite close down. Yes, it is very important कि we are not very sure कि when this pandemic will over. So that is always creates so much stress on the parents as well as teachers to the children as well as. And sir has also focused upon the rescheduling or reorganization of the school. What is the importance of the rescheduling? What is the importance of reorganization of the school system? What are the new changes which have been inculcated during the teaching procedure? After that, sir has given some data related to the rural household with the computer and urban household with the computer, as well as rural household with the internet and urban household with the internet. And in the both scenario, we have found that this is the actually when we tell about the online education, it is the basically a opportunity for the urban population. But when we go with the rural population, its data also reflects that there is so much problem in the rural population. There are very like there have no such facilities, like sir has focused on the many things like electricity system, internet facility, and the awareness of the parents and the background. So many of the things are covered the things. And the most of the important thing what I found in the session that sir has covered that parents are not aware. Parents are not aware about what to do, how to do, and basically when I tell that अगर we are to tell about the practical implications of the Indian, because we are in the developing country. India is a developing country, and maximum of the parents are not aware about the Google Meet, what are the Zoom we are doing. But over the time, I think, I pray that all parents or all persons will aware about these facilities. But the reality is that maximum of the parents are not aware about the Zoom. So that is the main concern of the online teaching procedure. So we have to make when we are as a mental health professional, it creates so much stress on the parents, because yes, every parents are very concerned about the future concern of their child कि आगे क्या होगा, what because there is no uncertainty about the problem, ये problem कब खत्म होगी and school when it will resume. So parents that is the main concern कि उनको थोड़ा सा होम स्कूलिंग के ऊपर जो सर ने फोकस किया उसके बारे में भी हमें बात करनी चाहिए, हमें समझना चाहिए. उसके बाद सर ने फोकस किया रोल ऑफ द पेरेंट्स कि हमारे एज अ पेरेंट्स क्या रोल है. So in that sir has focused upon the encouragement of the child by the and proper monitoring of the child ki when we seen the, because I'm a health practitioner and the parents came to us with the problem that many times we found that our child is wondering for some videos, in spite he or she is telling that I am on the online education. So proper monitoring is important in that scenario. And the important sir has told that avoid misleading, misguiding information provided by the social media. That is a very important part, because there is lots of information, very positive information, very negative information is provided by the social media, and that creates sometimes misguiding roles. So that parents should avoid that misleading and misguiding information. They should guide their children in a proper manner to how that when we talk about the teaching, that is important, what to take and what to left. So this is the important for the parents, that they have to aware their children what to take and what to left. So they have to very cautious about this information, and as well as sir has told about the cautious about the some situation like personal information sharing. That is very important, because nowadays there is very hacking, where very hackers are very active. So that's providing the information is very sometimes creates a problem to everyone, to the parents and to the children's information as well. In the end of the session, I have heard that one of our participant has raised one query: how to manage the child when child is in problematic situation. And sir has very beautifully explained that important is that when we talk about the problematic situation, the thing that what kind of problem, because there are so much kind of problem like physical problems, as Rashmi ma'am has explained. There are some psychological problems, and so first address about what are the problems that child is facing, and accordingly we have to set the priority, set the hierarchy of the problem, and after that we have to solve out the problem using some reinforcement skills, some token economy skills that we have learned in our practice, what we have learned in our academic career. So many of the things like reinforcement, like positive reinforcement, give the motivation to the child to attend the online teaching. Because nowadays what I am facing, the child was facing the problem that basically parents came and tell us that हमारा बच्चा आधे घंटे तो बैठता है बड़े मोटिवेशन से, बट उसके बाद उसका मन नहीं लगता है. So that is the some problem we are facing now. तो ये एक important aspect है जिसके लिए हम बोल सकते हैं कि हम उसको some reinforcement techniques दे सकते हैं, हम उसको token economy दे सकते हैं, हम उसे appreciate कर सकते हैं time to time, हम उसे कुछ gift दे सकते हैं, मतलब and if required we go with some negative reinforcement skills also. So there are some management skills, and sir has also very focused upon the skill enhancement training. That is very important part. So that is the brief what I have told about the Dipanjan sir session. And coming to the Dr. Rashmi Pandey ma'am, ma'am has given a very holistic approach. Really, it's a very holistic approach in the session. What I have found that she has covered in every aspect, like physical aspect, psychological aspect, if we tell about the muscular aspect, so then vision aspect, and how to increase the concentration. So ma'am has told about the online schooling first with the holistic development. So ma'am has told about the psychosocial impacts of school closure. There are many factors like task orientation, peer group, and some physical aspect and psychological aspect. After that, ma'am has covered the philosophy of education. That is a very beautiful part. Ma'am has covered the area with some holistic development. There are so much domains. Ma'am have told of reasoning, some critical thinking, some physical approach, some psychological approach. And after that, school learning she has covered in a nice manner, like role of the school, role of the classroom learning. So many of the things we have found in the classroom learning, that when the child go to the class, he sits properly, he knows the times routine, how to behave with the other children, how to talk with the other children. that because when जब हम बात करते हैं, basically हम जब बात करते हैं कि हम एक जो रेपो एस्टेब्लिशमेंट की, तो एक that is a very practical aspect what I am telling you all know that कि जब एक बच्चा अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ कोई डिस्कशन करता है तो उसका एक जो इंटीमेसी लेवल होता है, उसका जो एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होता है, बिकॉज वो उस चीज को मतलब बहुत ही इजिली ही गिव्स द थिंग्स, बट व्हेन he or she is talking with the teacher, he knows the what is the discipline, how to talk. So I think the school learning is very important in that manner. That is the main thing what ma'am has covered, like self awareness about the child, self management skills, and she has also focused about the socio emotional skills and relationship skills. These all are hampering due to online education. So these are the problems we have to look after that.
Prashant, you are there?
No, sir. Due to technical reason,
We lost the connection with Prashant. I think.
yeah, he's disconnected.
Someone please proceed.
I think Prashant has some connectivity issue. So I, from Department of PSW, Ramanolaya Hospital, I would like to thank the eminent speakers of today's webinar, Dipanjan sir, Rashmi ma'am, and obviously Dr. Sapna and Dr. Prashant. Now I would like to invite our senior and Vice President of ISPSW, Mr. Ravi Kishan Jha, for a formally to give a vote of thanks.
Hello.
We have Prashant with us.
Prashant, are you going to finish? Hello.
We have Prashant with us now.
Yes, just concluding. Just I am concluding the session. So, am I audible?
Yes,
to all?
you are.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Rashmi ma'am has covered all the areas, basically what I am telling about. So I am concluding that when we talk about the parents' concern, self-motivation is very important. Like, because in this situation they are very overworked, very over-pressured. Like you all know that basically work from home is there. So many of the time that there is one phone, very limited internet. So overwork condition will create the stress with the parents, and that create stress to the child. So the parents have to set the daily routine